Used to be the most righteous of fights, but these days it feels like they secretly hate guys. I don't trust anyone who bleeds for a week and don't die. I'm just kidding, but everything else that I said is right.
They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Same old, same songs. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about your feelings.
My generation's afraid of opinions. Y'all so intolerant. They're ashamed of themselves because they're privileged and whiter. They're black and the opposite. You get charged with harassment for hugging a woman or giving a compliment. Y'all way too sensitive yet. Offended to death. Bring all the coffins in. I swear that y'all are mad at everything that don't affect your life. Hey. I swear that y'all believe that being offended just means that you're right. Hey, I swear that y'all just want to be the only ones who everyone lies. Hey, I swear if I swear at you ninnies, you probably so triggered you cry. And nobody wants to be real. Everyone's scared of how everyone feels. We become so ultra sensitive and hyper tolerant that honestly, honesty gonna be illegal. It's crazy y'all get so shocked and bothered from people saying things that aren't responsible. If that seems logical, y'all are weak then. If someone says retard, it ruins your weekend. And that's retarded. My hair been in braids because it looks hella awesome. Y'all like to scream I appropriate culture, but I don't hear nothing. I'm paying homage. Y'all are just trying to get likes on your comments, Googling quotes that are socially conscious, and saying you're woke doesn't make you a prophet. It makes you a liar and stupid obnoxious.
Always on that blah, blah. Y'all should keep it to yourselves. Miss me with that drama. You must think I'm someone else. Cause y'all don't wanna fuck with me.
Cause I don't feel the pressure. No, I will not be censored. I'm not afraid, that's why they
Fuck with me.
My name will be remembered, and I will live forever. I bet y'all hate that y'all are
Stuck with me.
Happy Halloween. For one evening only, you wear what you want. Unless it's a poncho, a headdress, or afro, you'll piss someone off. Hey. I'd say Merry Christmas, but I know that it's about to be gone. If religious freedom's such a dire issue, why you dress like a priest in October for fun? Don't let them censor your thoughts. Don't let them make you regret that you talked. Don't let them tell you that nice is the law, trying to make you all righter when nothing is wrong. Yeah, words hurt you, clothes hurt you, memes hurt you, jokes hurt you, we hurt you. Half the time you don't even probably know what hurt you, but you're super mad. Trust, we hurt you. You a pawn in a broken system. Are you triggered much? You been showing symptoms. Y'all are so addicted to being hopeless victims. Y'all can crash a plane and blame the road conditions. And your only sickness is your social vision. Makes you scared of choices, but you pro decisions. So you march a lot, but never go the distance. Yelling way too loud until no one listens.
Always on that blah, blah. Y'all should keep it to yourselves. Miss me with that drama. You must think I'm someone else. Cause y'all don't wanna fuck with me.
Cause I don't feel the pressure. No, I will not be censored. I'm not afraid, that's why they
Fuck with me.
My name will be remembered, and I will live forever. I bet y'all hate that y'all are
Stuck with me.
You look like the devil, you sound like some Christians. You just want a medal for asking permission. You just want a pat on the back in addition to being so tolerant. Fine, I admit it, you're nicer, you're better, you're righter, you're brilliant. Most sensitive creatures in all of existence. My freedom of thought should be censored with prison. The world would be better if we weren't so different.
Always on that blah, blah. Y'all should keep it to yourselves. Miss me with that drama. You must think I'm someone else. Cause y'all don't wanna fuck with me.
Cause I don't feel the pressure. No, I will not be censored. I'm not afraid, that's why they
Fuck with me.
My name will be remembered, and I will live forever. I bet y'all hate that y'all are
Stuck with me.
What up, y'all? My name's Tom. Little while back was an alcoholic. Had a mental breakdown like a year ago. Came close to putting me in a coffin. Damn. After the hooker I loved, after I did all the drugs, after I finally got fired for showing up late to the job, hella tired and drunk, after the oxys I put up my nose with my boss on the oil rigs when I was young, after my ex cut her wrists and the cops thought I stabbed her and beat me then put me in cuffs, after I totaled my car trying to run from the cops with a kilo of coke in the trunk, after I drank till I rotted my teeth out my head, got infections in all of my gums, after I couldn't get hard cause the vodka and porno sedated me till I was numb, after I couldn't escape from the basement I rented and went to go live with my mom, after I cheated on people I needed and lied trying to hide from the guy that I was. Then I got sober, the madness was over. Now I am proud of the man I become. I'm finding someone that I know again. I started climbing out the hole I'm in. Fighting demons and I know I'll win. It's time for me to mend these broken ways. Life has been hard, I know it gets better. This is a war that I'll fight forever.
What up, y'all? My name's Mad Child. I've been off to Xannies for a while now. I was waking up feeling suicidal, but I think I'm finally starting to smile now. Man, I lived a hell of a life. I've been to hell and back twice. Lost $10 million through different addictions. Don't tell me about paying the price. From penthouses with top models, hanging with strippers with pop bottles. Anxious and hiding alone in my room from the world that was pissing in pop bottles. From chart top and being a role model to flop records and lost follows. When I cop product at a month's worth. When I left the spot, cops followed. Saw a photo, it was only face, cause I was 85 pounds overweight. Mental breakdown trying to catch a plane. Wasn't mad, child, I was only Shane. My puppy Lola was my only gang. Had to put my baby in a grave. I walked away from every brick I laid so I could build a new wall to keep me safe.
I'm finding someone that I know again. I started climbing out the hole I'm in. Fighting demons and I know I'll win. It's time for me to mend these broken ways. Life has been hard, I know it gets better. This is a war that I'll fight forever. I have my scars, I always remember when I lost it all and never surrendered. When you fall down, world's closing in. You can get up again, up again. Life has been hard, I know it gets better. This is a war that I'll fight forever. I have my scars, I always remember when I lost it all and never surrendered.
To our readers and our reporters, our traffic actually grew faster than MSNBC. And currently, the Gateway Pundit is listed as one of the top 200 websites in America. So all the websites that you see out there, Gateway Pundit is one of the top 200. We are in front of several mainstream outlets, but I'm not sure. I don't think we're ahead of MSNBC today, but
we're faster growing for sure.
Faster growing,
and
for
as
sure.
well as a number of big names. And in 2016, people don't know this. Jim was basically running the Gateway Pundit basically by yourself. I would add some post here or there as I was flying around Asia and Australia and trying to do what I could to help because I got a little bit of success on a couple posts. And there was a couple other people writing, but it was primarily Jim that took on CNN, took on all the left-wing media, and beat them. We knew we had a better candidate. Jim had just love for the country and the truth and president.
I should give some props to Joe because a month out of the final primary test for President Trump. Joe said to me a month earlier. Donald Trump is going to win this in April. I think it was the 19th or 23rd. And Trump's going to win this day, and he's going to have this many delegates. I'll be darned. But 3 or 4 weeks later, we had the lead story on conservative Drudge Report. And Joe called it. He called it a month out, and he was only off by delegates by like 5. Yeah, it was crazy. But we knew that Trump had the momentum. We knew that he was going to win, and we called it in the election too. So we've been supporters of President Trump all along, the good and the bad. The smears, the hit pieces, the nasty attacks, and we've been here from day one. We had a reporter in the White House for a while when the president was his administration was holding daily briefings. So we had a reporter there, and we got to learn a lot during the Trump years, as President Trump did. I think, and Joe, you may agree. One of the biggest gifts President Trump has given us is the fact that he's exposed so much. And that's one of the reasons that the fake news media, the elites, hate this man, is because he let us all see inside what was going on. And it was really, really ugly.
Yeah, it's miraculous that the man's still standing. The abuse that we saw him go through, like you said, Jim, it's just been amazing. Day after day, fake news pushing out these stories through Washington Post and New York Times, made up. And they all knew it was made up. This was the Mueller report, and it's just continued every day since then. One thing that I was going to point out is we knew back in 2016 that Hillary was going to win that election based on social media and just rally sizes at the end.
Hillary was going to win. She was going to lose.
She was going to lose, absolutely. This year we did a similar exercise, and this is one of the things that I've shared when we talk about the election and why Biden likely did not win this election is because we kept a rally tally of all the events that Biden and Trump had between Labor Day and the election day. And Trump had 1.1 million people at all his rallies compared to Joe Biden had less than 2,000 people in those circles. So there's lots of evidence that we have that show that this election was such a farce. And it's something we've been reporting on. We're one of the few sites that's doing that, and we've gotten a tremendous amount of attention because of that. Because Americans want the truth.
Americans know the truth. Even a poll out this week, even independent voters, we're up to about 45%, are still saying that this is not the actual president who's sitting in the office today. It's stunning what happened, not just to President Trump, God bless him, but to America today. And as our friend Steve Bannon says, elections have consequences. We are now seeing that stolen elections have catastrophic consequences. That's Steve Bannon's line, and we agree with him. 100%. What we've seen now is like nothing we've ever seen before. Between all these mandates just came out in the past couple of days, between the catastrophe in Afghanistan, it's just heartbreaking catastrophe, the ongoing catastrophe in Afghanistan, to watching these people spin. You can't even say like drunken sailors anymore. They're spinning like we've never seen anything like this. So it's just a tragedy what's happening to our wonderful country and to those young Americans out there. This isn't normal. We never have seen anything like this happening. We've never seen a president embarrass this country like Joe Biden has done. And anyway, we're just, it'll be great to talk to President Trump and get his thoughts on the most recent catastrophes that have happened in this country.
That's right, Jim. And yeah, we look back at the country that we grew up in, America, and we had so much pride for what was going on, so much pride for our soldiers, for our people, for our politicians, and our workers. And it was, I look back at those times now and think, what a beautiful country. It was pretty much much peaceful for most of our lives to some extent, and we didn't have a World War II, and we didn't lose a lot of friends in the service due to war, and it's just been a beautiful country, and we've just seen so much destruction, especially culminating in the last 8 months since Biden won this election. It's been
and
a
even
nightmare.
the 2 or 3 years before then, the 4 years, the 6 years, the violence in the streets. We grew up, a lot of people today don't realize this, younger Americans, they don't realize that we grew up in peace and prosperity for several decades.
Yeah.
We'd never seen anything like's happening today in the streets. We've never seen anything like they did to Larry Elder this week. These thugs who come up and beat an old man who is a staff member for Larry Elder in California, and they try to egg this black Republican. It's just outrageous, the violence we're seeing today from the left. And it really is. Even their policies are violent. They're violence against America. And it reminds me, I put up this post this week from our friend at Grand Old Partisan who highlighted this. And it was, there was a picnic in over 100 years ago now, in 1875, and it was in Mississippi, and there was a picnic there, and it was Republicans who were down there. This is something that's not taught to children today, but there was Republicans holding a picnic with a couple thousand blacks and Republicans and black Republicans, and the Democrats came in and they slaughtered over 100 people in the next few days. So these are the type of stories that this is the Democrat Party that was in the past, and today we see that it's morphed into what it is today that we're currently witnessing. So anyway, a little bit of history there that maybe you haven't heard, from the mainstream news as they're trying to attack Donald Trump or to attack one of his family members as they allow, and I don't know if we'll get to this question today, but as they allow the Biden family, the crime family, to get away with literally about anything they can.
Some of the most grotesque things you've ever seen, if you go to Hunter's laptop, which we've had the luxury, I don't know if it's a luxury, but we've had the ability to see some of the stuff there. It's just shocking. And our media is silent on that.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that we loved about Trump, was the fact that he came in and he called the media fake news and destroyed them. And they hated him for that. And we loved that because we knew it was
they exposed themselves, and he shined a light on them.
Yeah.
And they were able to expose themselves. And I agree with you, Joe. That piece, Joe's done several reports on Hunter Biden, this laptop that he lost, and the fact that for those listening out there today, there was a recent video that came out of Hunter smoking crack with a prostitute naked in a hotel room, telling her that the Russians had stole his laptop and that he was worried they were going to blackmail him. And that did not make one mainstream media outlet, not one.
Not one.
Could you imagine if this would have been one of the Trump kids? It's just outrageous, the stuff that they, the fake news. Pravda would be embarrassed today compared to this fake news media that we have. So thank God for Donald Trump.
Amen. In so many ways. And yet, in spite of all these attacks, in spite of all the lies about him, and in spite of not sharing any of his successes, rarely, if ever, this guy did so much for this country in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
And the economy never was stronger. Foreign policy, he's got 4 peace deals in the Middle East. It's shockingly with Israel. Everything that this guy did was such a success, and our media was crickets the whole time.
It's just, it really breaks your heart almost. And the fact that here we had these people that were supposed to be the nonpartisan debate committee, and they decide, well, we're not going to do foreign policy this year because, we don't have enough time, or Trump wasn't going to do the second debate or something. So they just eliminated that. Instead, they just attacked Trump on the virus for 2 debates and skipped his foreign policy, which was brilliant. And today now we have a terrorist state in Afghanistan armed to the teeth. We've never seen anything like this in world history. Has a country, have they armed the enemy and then walked away? It's unbelievable what's going on. And so, it's just it's stunning. The reporting that the media omits on President Trump. Such a shame.
Yeah, Rudy Giuliani got on this past week and called it treason. I don't know how you could not call it that. You're giving billions of dollars of arms to your enemy, to the Taliban, and all the items that were given. It's just shocking what's happening in the United States today.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. President, this is Jim from the Gateway Pundit.
Hi, Jim. I know. I can recognize that voice very easily.
All right. It's such a thrill to have you here today. Of course,
thank you, Jim.
We've been fans of yours. We've worked so hard to report the truth about the man you are, your record, what you've done for this country, and it is such an honor to have you here today. And with me this afternoon is my twin brother, Joe Hoft.
Oh,
and Joe is with Gateway Pundit. He was a top executive in Asia. He was based in Hong Kong. And the past year and a half now, he's come back and he's written for Gateway Pundit, done an outstanding job. So Joe is with me this afternoon.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. That's great. Hi, Joe.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. We're so grateful that you're taking this time with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well,
you know,
Jim, it's been so great.
we just can't, we're just so thrilled to have you here. When we wrote about this, President Trump, we said, hey, to our readers, and we have 2.6 million readers a day. We're one of the largest websites in the country, as you know.
Wow.
And
Yes.
we got a lot of people writing us. And so before I get started, I wanted to give a shout out to some of these people, because every one of these people, Adam, Benefsha from Iran, Chris, Christina, Bridget, Cassandra, Jordan, Julian, our two sisters. We have two sisters who we thought were communist, and now they're big Trump supporters. So, you have a way with people, to change their minds and bring them to the light. Terry, Alia, Robert, Robert Morton, he's a 90-year-old World War II veteran, wrote us, or actually gave us a note. Mike, Phillip, the TikTok readership, TikTok MAGA Nation, and Telegram MAGA Nation, they all wanted us to tell you, they sent in questions, and they wanted us to tell you that they love you, and they're just so grateful that you're out there. And of course, we desperately miss you today when we see what's going on in the world.
Well, thank you very much. It's sad when you look at what happened with this last couple of weeks in particular. And even before, the border was a disaster, but now people aren't talking about the border. They're talking about what happened in Afghanistan, taking the military out first and creating a void where the Taliban just walked in. We had that under such perfect control. But when you look at the border, what happened with the border, millions of people have come in already. They like to say much lower numbers than that, but millions and millions of people are pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are. They've totally lost control of the border. It's very sad. Inflation and your gasoline prices, we were at $1.87, and now they're at, I guess, over $5, or soon will be. And they're dealing with OPEC to try and get some more energy, and we were energy independent. We had so much, we didn't know what to do with it. It's a very sad situation, fellas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, tomorrow is a somber day with the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. And by the way, for people out there who don't know this, you were down there on Ground Zero a day or two after the attacks back 20 years ago, and you were offering your workers from your business to go help the people down there. And I don't know if you get much credit for that, but would you ever have guessed that back in 2001, that 20 years later, after all the work that you and others have done, that our military has done, that it would be in the hands of the Taliban today, that they would be calling the shots, and that Joe Biden would arm them with some $80 billion worth of military arms?
Not even believable, not even possible, no possibility. And we had it in such good shape. I spoke with the head of the Taliban, on numerous occasions, but I spoke and I said, we will hit you so hard. And that's why even Biden admitted last week, he said, we haven't lost one soldier in 18 months. You know that. Not one soldier was killed or even shot at because they knew the repercussions. And we could have taken our time. We could have gotten out because I wanted to get out more than anybody. But I wanted to get out with dignity, with victory, with pride. Not the way we got out. It looks like total surrender. It was a disgrace what happened. I think it's the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. That's what I think. Wow. And, people, and they're good fighters, but people with knives beat the people with the F-35s, okay? You figure that one out.
Yeah.
And without a shot being fired. Wow. And they took over not only, the 13, I spoke to numerous of the parents. They're devastated because it would have never happened under our watch. There would have never been a problem. We had them so locked in. It was like a perfect situation. We would have taken out every American, other people if they deserve. That's a complicated issue, by the way.
Right.
But other people if they deserve to come out. And then we would have taken every piece of equipment. And I said every screw, every bolt, every nail, in addition to the planes and the tanks. As an example, if they were in such a rush, why didn't they fly some pilots in and just take the planes out? They could have flown the planes right out, and the helicopters that cost more money than any other. You got to see, they have the best helicopters made, and they're going to give them to China. They're going to give them to Russia. They've already given some to Iran, as I understand it, the Apaches and the Black Hawks. And they're going to take them apart, and they're going to figure out, oh, gee, we can do that too. What has happened to our country in the last 2 weeks, it's a horrible thing. Maybe an interesting story. I did a little bit, just finished it. A little bit of an address, and the people that wrote it made it very positive that when the World Trade Center came down, we went to war and we this and we that. And I said, you forgot one thing. In the last week, how can I possibly say this? We surrendered under the Biden administration. I said, the guy says, well, that's so negative, sir. I said, yeah, but that's the fact. How can I make a positive statement now about September 11th, when we just gave $85 billion of equipment, lost 13 great warriors, and many, many wounded. Nobody ever had, fellas.
Right.
But many, many wounded. And how can I talk about this like in a positive way? It's not possible to do that. And so I added a whole thing about this horrible situation. This has been a horrible week. This was supposed to be a week of I don't know if you want to call it victory, but it was supposed to be a dignity week, and it's instead a tremendous loss. And they'll go down there and they'll start talking, and the media will put it any way that they want it to be put. But this was a horrible week for the United States of America.
Absolutely. And we still have no idea of what the Taliban has in store tomorrow for their celebration. But, Mr. President, does it surprise you then, the news broke today that Joe Biden is not going to be speaking tomorrow at any of the venues from 9/11? Is that a surprise?
No, because he'll get booed. Just like the parents, they said, we won't speak to the president, to that president. We love our president, which is, it's been reported, so that's the way it is. And I spoke to some of the parents of the soldiers that were killed, and they are just devastated. And they know if I was president, the soldiers wouldn't have been killed. They were sent in there to create, to make up for the vacuum when we moved our soldiers out. Think of this, who would move the soldiers out first before we move the American people out? And we left those people behind, and I think they're in danger, and other people are in danger. But I heard that they were going to have a big celebration tomorrow, September 11th, in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Just to add insult to injury. Yeah. But to give $85 billion worth of equipment, some of it brand new right out of the box. Literally stuff that was brand new, highest grade technology right out of the box.
Right. And
terrible.
One other point on, and you touched on this already, but the fact, Mr. President, that we have Joe Biden who said, well, we got 90% of the people out, and we still have people on, sitting at a couple airports, and the Taliban won't let them out, and we have no idea How many people are actually still over there? We have no idea how many of our friends.
Thousands.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just, I've never seen anything like this. This isn't the America I grew up believing this is who we were. It's just, Joe Biden.
And we gave them a list. You know, the one thing you have to say, Jim, we gave them a list of all the Americans over there, where they are, how to get them, their numbers and their addresses. We gave them a list of all the Americans and also all the people that helped us. And now they're going door to door knocking on doors. They don't even have to look for them anymore. We gave them a list.
Wow.
And I don't know why. I guess they gave it because they thought the Taliban would help them get out. I don't know who are these people that would do that. They handed them a list of all the people, both Americans and those also that helped them or that helped us, like the interpreters, etc., the translators. We gave them a list of everybody and the addresses where they are.
It's just,
How stupid is
it's
this?
just, as you would say, stone cold crazy.
Unbelievable.
Well, and almost,
It is. It's
almost,
not even believable.
Yeah, it's
And
murder.
so September 11th, I think this will be a September 11th, really of great sorrow. And it's very unfair to all the people that died in Afghanistan and other places that this is, after all of those years, that, I mean, they're far advanced from where they were 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they didn't have this kind of control. Now they are absolutely ruling that country. And it's a great embarrassment.
Yeah, very sad. It's a mess. Mr. President, this is Joe. I spoke to some individuals this morning from Italy and a show there, and one question they asked me to ask you is, are you ready to lead the free world again? They are so concerned in Italy and other countries around the world about this demise of the U.S. since Biden came in, and are begging for a world leader like you were over these past 4 years. Do you have any comments for them?
So, Joe, I think you're going to be very happy, you know, because of the campaign finance laws and rules and regulations, which, by the way, are ridiculous. You're not allowed to say, otherwise you have a whole new level of craziness happens. And but I think you're going to be very happy. I think he will be very happy, and I appreciate the question. And, you know, look, they've destroyed what they've done. We had the greatest economy in history. We had we had everything. We were energy independent. We passed more tax cuts than any president's ever passed. Regulation cuts, never close. Rebuilt our military. Gave a chunk of it to the Taliban. Can you imagine all of that stuff that I was rebuilding? We gave some of it, a lot of it. You know, $83 billion is a lot of money. I don't know how they could have. I guess I'm hearing now it's $85 billion. I mean, you're talking about
crazy
numbers. It's one of the best equipped militaries in the world now. We equipped it.
That's right. Hey, and I come from the corporate world, and we throw around billions of dollars with this government like it's chump change. And there's not many corporations in the world, as you know, that make $1 billion a year even. These are such huge dollars, and what they're doing to our economy now with the spending is just outrageous.
That's there's never been a period like this in the history of our country. And then they give out money, and they... I mean, inflation, what's going to happen with inflation? So I was around during the Jimmy Carter years where they had inflation, where the prime rate went to 22% or something like that. And it was not a good period of time, I will tell you. It was not good. And when you look at what they're doing, look at energy. If you just go with energy, we're $1.87 to over $5 a gallon, right? Food prices have doubled, tripled, and quadrupled. And the whole thing is crazy.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead, Joe. Well, just one final question for me, Mr. President. We wanted to congratulate you. We believe you were absolutely true about this election. We've been following it. Like Jim mentioned, I'm an auditor by trade. It didn't take an auditor to see that this thing was stolen on many counts. This past week in Arizona, a group led by Liz Harris did some canvassing on their own, a group of citizens in Arizona, and they found, by their estimates, 300,000 ballots that were either counted that shouldn't have been or that weren't counted that should have been. And yet they're saying Joe Biden won the state by 10,000 votes. Our media won't share that. And we did, but the media won't. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I appreciate that question. Our media is corrupt as can be. But the people know what's going on because another poll came out. 70-some-odd% think the election was to put it very nicely, tampered with. So we got 63 million votes. then we got 75 million votes. I was told if we got 64 million, we couldn't lose. We got 75 million.
No.
The most ever given to a sitting president. Never happened. Obama went way down. We went way up. We had it won at 10:30 in the evening on Election Day. Everyone, Pennsylvania, we were up by hundreds of thousands of votes. Arizona, all these places. And then those polling counters closed. And when they opened, gee, we were tied. And numbers that were not, it was not even possible to think about losing. On election night, this was the greatest rigged election. This was the most, that they do well. If they fight wars like they do rigged elections, that they do well. And you know what? It's never been a stronger issue. I appreciate you mentioning it because it's never been a stronger issue. The only problem is the press doesn't like talking about it, including Fox. The press doesn't like talking about it. And someday somebody's going to tell me why. Because our election was rigged. This was a rigged election. Yeah. They used COVID and they used the mail-in ballots to rig the election. We won the election by a lot, and they rigged it. And it's a terrible thing. And I do believe they're going to decertify this election. I don't think you can have an election that was rigged to the extent this thing was. I mean, you look at the individual states. You mentioned Arizona.
Right.
Look at what happened. Look at what's happening now in Michigan. Look at what's happening in Pennsylvania. Look at what's happening in Georgia, Wisconsin. Right. This is a terrible, terrible thing that happened to our country. And because the press is so dishonest, that's where cancel culture comes from. You know where it started? They don't want to talk about the election because they know it was rigged. They know, and they just don't want to get, you know, they don't want to have to, because they can't justify the facts. And you're right. Liz Harris is a patriot. And they went around, I didn't know Liz Harris, they went around all over Arizona, and they found hundreds of thousands of votes and in a canvas, which is actually the most accurate thing you can do. Hundreds of thousands of votes, and I lost in a very close number. But we were way up ahead. Remember that? Remember when Fox announced Arizona?
Yeah.
So it sounds like Fox must have known something because we were way ahead, and all of a sudden they announced we were going to lose it. So somebody's going to have to ask Fox whether or not they knew something.
Mr. President, what happens if these various states become decertified? Any thoughts?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, you know, when you rob the store of its diamonds, I always say Tiffany, and you rob Tiffany of its diamonds and you get caught, you're supposed to return them. Got to, among other things, right? But you have to return. Well, a lot of people are talking about that now because you take a look at the polls, and people know what's going on. And in Arizona, the reason there's such spirit in Arizona, and now you look at the other states, it's the people. It's not me. The people are rising up, and they're saying, wait a minute, and they're taking rhinos. They're saying, you can't let people get away with this. And people that were rhinos are now leading the charge because they're not going to win in the next election. There's no way people that aren't in support of a forensic audit like Arizona, and even quicker because, you know, it can go quicker, but a strong forensic audit. There's no way they can win in office. There's no way they get the primary, and there's no way they're going to win. This has become a very big movement. And then you're going to have to say, well, okay, we caught them cheating. You're going to let somebody that cheated stay for 3 more years? I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it.
No. You're right. You're right. Mr. President, just the last 2 days, talk about, you know, you're mentioning this last week, the last 2 weeks, the last month, how much the world has changed. But the last 2 days, now we have Joe Biden announcing these new vaccine rules. And so he's forcing a lot of companies with, of course, they haven't explained the science behind this, why it's companies with 100 employees and more, but not 100 employees and less. You know, they don't explain that. But they're forcing them to get the vaccine. And yet, Mr. President, if you're an illegal alien and you walk across the border today, they're not forcing those people to get the vaccine. Does that make any sense to you?
Or wear masks or anything else, or the Taliban that's being brought in. And don't forget the Taliban that's being brought in, they rush the planes. These are aggressive people. They rush the planes. The people that are coming in are not the people that are supposed to be coming in. These are very strong, aggressive people in many cases. And, by the way, the least of it, they're not wearing masks, they're not doing vaccines, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I must tell you, I'm very proud of what we did with the vaccine, because we came up with great vaccines and therapeutics. You know, you look at Regeneron and the different things, but it was supposed to take 5 years, and it took less than 9 months. And guys like Fauci said 5 years, but you won't even have it. And so, you know, we're very proud of it. At the same time, people have to have their freedoms if they're not going to take it, if they don't want to take it. And in some cases, they have reasons why they can't take it. So, you know, you have to have their freedoms. They're trying to force it onto people. I would say this. I believe the vaccines will save tens of millions of people worldwide. You know, the Spanish flu in 1917, that killed, they say, up to 100 million people. I think this would have been similar to that. Bottom line, though, is that, because I've taken the vaccine, I don't know if you guys, did you take the vaccine, the two of you?
I have,
Did you take it?
No, and I haven't.
You have? Okay. Okay.
I had to travel.
I mean, I have.
Yeah.
And I guess I also, you know, by having had it, I have my own vaccine, but I took it anyway. So I'm a big fan of it. But at the same time, you can't take away freedom from people, and that's what they're doing. It's not right. It's not right. So I'm a fan of the vaccine, but, you know, the bottom line is that you have to lead your life the way you have to lead your life. And a lot of people disagree, and those people have to be able to do what they want to do. What they're doing now countrywide is not good. And, you know, it's interesting. They hurt the vaccine because they said Trump came up with it, and if Trump comes up with it, I'm not going to do it. And then they did the other thing. They paused Johnson & Johnson. And when they did that, they really hurt it. Because if you remember, when I was president, everybody wanted the vaccine. And then Biden came in, and they just don't trust him. They don't trust him. That's what the problem is, in my opinion.
Right. That's true.
You know, Mr. President, speaking of the vaccine and Dr. Fauci, we were wondering, and we thought we'd ask you, did Dr. Fauci ever tell you that he was funding that Wuhan lab? Is that anything that came up in discussions?
No, but, you know, we were the ones that ended the funding, but for a different reason. I said, why the hell are we sending money to China? I heard somewhere that there was money being sent to China. I said, China's doing very well, thank you. We don't have to be funding anything. And it was interesting because we didn't know it was it. We just, you know, we send money to China for research. I said, what are we doing? Why are we doing that? And I ended it. You know, it started with Obama. I ended it. But I ended it for a different reason. I said, why are we doing that? Why are we sending money to China? Nobody can give me that answer.
Right. You know, you mentioned about those heroes who were killed over at the Kabul airport. And this week, one of the Gold Star mothers, Shayna Chappelle, she's the mother of Lance Corporal Nakui. She invited you to the family funeral. I was wondering if you can break any news on that today.
Well, we're looking at that very strongly. Let me ask you, when is that funeral? When is it?
I believe they announced it this week. I don't have the exact date, but we will send it to your staff as soon as...
Yeah, would you do that? You know, it's a very hard thing because time-wise and everything else. You know, I spoke to Shayna. She's incredible.
Wow.
Incredible woman. Devastated. And she knows if I was president, her son would be alive today. This handsome, beautiful kid would be alive today. But we are looking at it. We are. Absolutely.
Thank you. And, you know, that was one thing that you were excellent at. Americans knew that they could count on you when you were in office. There was dozens of people that you brought home who were stranded or imprisoned overseas, and you brought all these people home from North Korea.
Even from North Korea.
Right.
Even from North Korea. Otto, unfortunately, came home in very bad shape, as you know. Otto was just a terror. Otto came home. He was alive, but barely. And that was devastating. But we had 3 others that came home. And I think we had 58 altogether that I got with no money being paid. No money. Because once you pay money, then you got a real problem. Because then all of a sudden you'll have a problem tenfold. But no, we were very proud of our record on hostages. We got just about everybody back pastors, and a lot of people of religion. But we did a good job. Robert O'Brien worked on that with me a lot and did a good job. We did a really good job.
Yeah, that was truly excellent work that you did, and didn't get much credit from the fake news, of course. But
no,
it was really a
get no
wonderful
credit
thing.
for anything.
And it
Get no
reminds
credit
us,
for anything.
yeah, as we see what's going on in Afghanistan today. And by the way, Mr. President, a few weeks ago, I believe you were the first one who said this looks really bad, and it's not going to be. You said this. It's not going to be over with in a couple days. This is going to go on longer. And you said you expected hostages, and it appears that that's what we're seeing under the Biden administration.
They want money, and they want money, and Can you imagine we give them $85 billion worth of equipment and they want money? They want money for hostages. I knew that. I saw that. And that's what they are. Look, I had a very strong understanding with them. Don't ever kill our American soldiers. And Biden took a lot of heat because he actually made that statement that under the agreement, and the agreement was conditions-based. The agreement was incredible. And when they wouldn't meet the conditions, we'd bomb them, and they would immediately meet the conditions. We could have taken our time in getting out. Nobody would have been killed. You wouldn't have had the riots and the bombs going off and all the horrible things that happened. This was the greatest, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, in my opinion. It was a military embarrassment. It looks like we surrendered. Looks like we ran out, and we left Americans behind and others.
Right, absolutely. It's just horrible. Rudy Giuliani, who we're a great fan of and think he's an American patriot, he said, he shared recently, we love him as well as we love you, Mr. President, but Rudy recently said about Biden, he said, this guy should be indicted for treason or charged with treason for his actions in Afghanistan. What do you think about that?
Well, is it treason or is it incompetence? I mean, you just don't know. I guess you can't do it for incompetence, but certainly, there's never been an embarrassment like this. There's never been a situation. A child would know that the last one out is the military, like the captain of a ship, but even more so, much more importantly than the captain of a ship, frankly. The last one out is the military, and they're protecting everybody as they leave, and there's no problem. And we have our planes, and if they start moving toward any area, you knock the hell out of them, they immediately go back to where they came from. That's what we were doing. And we had no problem. And in all fairness, they honored my demand that you can't shoot any American soldiers or any Americans. We didn't lose one in 18 months. Think of that. And then I got out, and they rigged the election. I get out, and they take over. You saw the red, where the red gets redder, the maps.
Yeah.
And then the one section, as you know, there was a holdout section. They used our equipment to wipe them out, including our night goggles.
Yeah.
They never fought at night because they couldn't see. And now all of a sudden they fight at night. They used our night goggles.
Stunning.
And it wasn't even a fair fight.
Right.
So.
Stunning.
Terrible.
And they also are parading around in U.S. uniforms, and they're using sports drinks that we left behind. We even left them sports drinks. So, yeah.
Well, I'm hearing they're having the inaugural tomorrow. Okay, that's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's right, but they say their inaugural is tomorrow. How do you like that one? Okay,
yeah, that's,
so we have September 11th, and they're going to do their form of inaugural tomorrow. Now, maybe somebody from our country will pay them a lot of money, and they'll make it a different day. You know, that's all we do is pay money and pay lives.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the two of you. I appreciate your brother. Will you take care of your brother, please? Because I'll tell you, Jim has been fantastic. He's been a great voice, and we appreciate it, fellas.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. God bless you. Thank you for just spending some time with us. Our readers love it. You have so much people out here in middle America, across this country, who love you, Mr. President. Don't ever forget that. You're really a hero, and thank you for being there for all of us.
Well, I love them, and I love you guys. You're really very important voice of your. And I must tell you, Jim, and your brother, I have to give him credit because he keeps you energized, right, Jim? But you guys,
Joe does
it's a very important voice, and we appreciate it. We need it.
Right on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you, fellas. Have a good time. I'll see you soon. Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
And we'd like to thank all of our listeners who joined us today. That was really exciting. And, what an honor to speak with America's greatest president. And I was so glad to do it with my twin brother. We've been through so much together. So any closing thoughts?
Well, it's just it ended pretty much, how we thought it would. He's been an incredible president. He's gracious. He's gone through more than anybody we've ever known, and he still stands strong and is a beacon of truth and hope for this country.
Still fighting on. He left us with some really encouraging words. I know our listeners out there saw that. So we'll be posting that, some recaps on the Gateway Pundit. Thank you all for joining us. And, God bless America, and God bless all of you. And tomorrow will be the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. Very somber day. And let's all pray that our country can come together and that we get some of these things corrected now, because it's time. We got to change this direction. And we thank President Trump for giving us a little bit of that direction today.
No kidding. Thanks, Jim. Great job.
All of you, and tomorrow will be the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. Very somber day, and let's all pray that our country can come together and that we get some of these things corrected now, because it's time. We got to change this direction, and we thank President Trump for giving us a little bit of that direction today.
No kidding. Thanks, Jim. Great job.
Don't know what to think about this virus. Started in China, now everybody in America's hiding. There's no groceries because people start to panic and buy it. The shelves are empty, the ones with plenty already stockpiling. Y'all making memes, think it's funny? Wait a week till the riots. Wait a month till the only way to eat is be violent. It's not the sickness that's scary, it's all the people who wildin'. The government lying, they trying to keep us calm through the sirens. You know it's for real. And all the pharmaceutical giants don't have a cure that they can sell you, so now everyone's dying. There's no vaccines or medication made that can fight it. I guess it's time to pray to God we can't rely on the science. And everyone around me in a mask and some gloves. The stock market crashed and the bank's about to bust. Tell us sanitize our hands, this will pass. It's a bug, stay inside, you'll be fine till we're trapped there for months.
It's a ghost town, we're in this together. They're closing all the stores down, we're heading for shelter. It's all war now, they'll always remember. We're locking all our doors down, we're sticking together.
This a pandemic, but we don't listen to the news because they lied to us for years, so how we know that this the truth? And most of us are young enough to think that we're immune, so we just pass it on to people who won't survive it like you. It's either worse than they're telling us or it's nothing at all. But the school shut down, a ghost town in the mall. They gon' quarantine the city, block the road out of Dodge, then tell us leaving our homes is actually breaking the law. This is just the beginning, you know it's gotta get worse. If the doctors get sick, the hospitals won't work. The conspiracy theories all sound like facts, that's for sure, but the fact is we're trapped on this planet called Earth. And the bleach gone, the bread gone, the water sold out, the meat gone, the milk gone, the pasta sold out. Don't leave anything for anyone, you hoard it for yourself. You'd rather tell them go to hell than be a man and go and help.
It's a ghost town, we're in this together.